The shadows of Pine Ridge. In the dense, fog-laden forests of Pine Ridge, whispers of an ancient creature had long haunted the townsfolk. They spoke of Bigfoot, a towering beast with eyes that glowed like embers in the night. One stormy evening, a group of friends decided to venture into the heart of the forest, armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure. As they trudged deeper, the trees seemed to close in around them, and the air grew thick with an eerie silence. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. The friends froze, their flashlights flickering. Out of the shadows, a massive figure emerged, its fur matted and eyes burning with a malevolent glow. It was Bigfoot, and it was hungry. The friends scattered, but the beast was swift. One by one, they were picked off, their screams echoing through the forest. Only one managed to escape, stumbling back to town, breathless and terrified. To this day, the people of Pine Ridge avoid the forest at night, for they know that Bigfoot still roams, waiting for its next prey. The Beast of the Northwest Passage. The year was 1847, and the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror were on their ill-fated expedition to chart the Northwest Passage. The crew, led by Sir John Franklin, was optimistic despite the harsh conditions. Little did they know, something far more terrifying than the Arctic cold awaited them. As the ships became trapped in the thickening ice, the crew settled in for what they hoped would be a temporary delay. Weeks turned into months, and the endless night of the Arctic winter began to wear on their spirits. Strange noises echoed through the frozen landscape, howls and growls that no one could identify. One night, as the men huddled around a meager fire, a scream pierced the silence. They rushed out to find one of their own, Private Jameson, missing. Only his rifle and a trail of blood leading into the darkness remained. Panic set in as more men vanished over the following nights, each disappearance accompanied by those same eerie sounds. Captain Crozier, now in command after Franklin's mysterious illness, decided to send a scouting party to find help. The group, led by Lieutenant Fitzjames, ventured into the icy wilderness armed and wary. They trekked for days, the cold biting at their faces, the howls growing louder and more frequent. One night, as they camped under the eerie glow of the northern lights, they saw out a massive, shadowy figure moving through the snow. It stood over 8 feet tall, covered in thick, matted fur, with eyes that glowed like embers. The men froze in terror as the creature let out a bone-chilling roar and charged. The ensuing chaos was a blur of screams, gunfire, and blood. Fitzjames managed to wound the beast, but it only seemed to enrage it further. The creature tore through the men with terrifying strength, leaving only Fitzjames and a few others alive. They fled back to the ships, the beast's roars echoing behind them. When they returned, they found the camp in disarray. The remaining crew had barricaded themselves inside the ships, but it was clear the beast had been there too. Supplies were destroyed, and the men were on the brink of madness. In the following days, the survivors tried to fortify their position, but the beast was relentless. It attacked nightly, each time taking more men. Desperation set in, and the crew began to turn on each other, paranoia and fear driving them to madness. In the end, only a handful survived to tell the tale. They were found by a passing whaling ship, half mad and frostbitten, babbling about the beast that haunted the Northwest Passage. The story was dismissed as the ravings of men driven insane by the Arctic cold. But those who know the true history of the Franklin expedition whisper that something else lurks in the icy wastes of the Northwest Passage, a beast that preys on those who dare to venture into its domain.
The one-legged Bigfoot. In the dense, shadowy forests of Pembroke, Ontario, there were whispers of a creature that roamed the woods at night. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the one-legged Bigfoot, a beast that was said to be more terrifying than any other. It all began one cold autumn evening when a group of friends decided to go camping deep in the forest. They had heard the legends but dismissed them as mere folklore. as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows. They set up their tents and gathered around the campfire. The night was still. The only sounds were the crackling of the fire and the occasional hoot of an owl. Suddenly, a distant, mournful howl echoed through the trees. The friends exchanged nervous glances but laughed it off, attributing it to a wolf or some other animal. As the night wore on, the forest grew unnervingly quiet. The friends decided to call it a night and retreated to their tents, but sleep did not come easily. The silence was oppressive, and an unsettling feeling hung in the air. Around midnight, one of the friends, Patricia, heard a strange thumping sound. It was rhythmic, like the sound of a heavy object being dragged across the forest floor. She peeked out of her tent and saw a shadowy figure limping through the trees. Her heart pounded as she realized it was the one-legged Bigfoot. The creature was massive, covered in matted fur, and its single leg was grotesquely muscular, compensating for the missing limb. It moved with a disturbing grace, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Patricia's scream pierced the night, waking her friends. Panic ensued as the friends scrambled out of their tents. The one-legged Bigfoot let out a guttural roar and charged towards them. They ran through the forest, branches scratching their faces and tearing at their clothes. The creature was relentless, its thumping footstep growing louder and closer. In their frantic escape, they stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin. They rushed inside, slamming the door behind them. The cabin was dark and musty, filled with cobwebs and decaying furniture. They huddled together, trying to catch their breath, their ears straining for any sound. The thumping stopped, and eerie silence enveloped the cabin. Just when they thought they were safe, the door creaked open. The one-legged Bigfoot stood in the doorway, its eyes burning with rage. It let out a deafening roar and lunged at them. In the chaos that followed, the friends fought desperately to fend off the creature. They grabbed anything they could find, broken chairs, rusty tools, even their bare hands. The battle was fierce, but the one-legged Bigfoot was too powerful. One by one, the friends fell, until only Patricia remained. With a final, desperate scream, she plunged a jagged piece of wood into the creature's chest. The one-legged Bigfoot let out a blood-curdling howl and collapsed, its body convulsing before finally lying still. Patricia, covered in blood and trembling with fear, stumbled out of the cabin. The first light of dawn was breaking through the trees, casting an eerie glow over the forest. She made her way back to civilization, forever haunted by the memory of that night. To this day, the legend of the one-legged Bigfoot lives on, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk in the shadows of Pembroke's forests. The Phantom of Algonquin Park. In the heart of Algonquin Park, where the trees grow thick and the shadows dance under the moonlight, there is a legend that sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. It is said that deep within these woods, the ghost of a Bigfoot roams, a spectral giant that haunts the night. Years ago, a massive creature was spotted by campers and hikers, a towering figure covered in dark fur, with eyes that glowed like embers in the darkness. This creature, believed to be a Bigfoot, was a mystery to all who encountered it, but one fateful night, it vanished without a trace, leaving only whispers and fear in its wake. As the years passed, the sightings of the living Bigfoot ceased, but something far more terrifying took its place. On moonless nights, when the forest is cloaked in an inky blackness, the ghost of the Bigfoot emerges. It is said that the air grows cold, and an eerie silence falls over the woods. The ghostly figure, now translucent and glowing with an otherworldly light, moves silently among the trees. Campers who have dared to stay overnight in the park tell tales of waking to the sound of heavy footsteps outside their tents, only to find nothing but a chilling mist when they investigate. Some have seen the ghostly figure standing at the edge of their campfires, its eyes burning with a spectral fire before it vanishes into the night. One such camper, a young man named Alex, decided to spend a weekend in the park with his friends. They laughed off the old legends, confident that they were just stories to scare tourists. But on the second night, as they sat around the campfire, a dense fog rolled in, and the temperature plummeted. The laughter died in their throats as they heard the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps approaching. Alex, armed with a flashlight, ventured into the darkness to investigate. His friends watched in tense silence as the beam of light cut through the fog. Suddenly, the light flickered and went out, and Alex's terrified scream pierced the night. When his friends reached him, they found him on the ground, pale and shaking, muttering about glowing eyes and a giant figure that disappeared into the mist. From that night on, Alex was never the same. He spoke of the ghostly Bigfoot that haunted his dreams, its eyes burning with a vengeful fire. The legend of the Phantom of Algonquin Park grew, and the warnings to stay away from the woods on moonless nights became more urgent. So, if you ever find yourself in Algonquin Park after dark, remember the legend of the ghostly Bigfoot, and if you hear heavy footsteps in the night, or see a pair of glowing eyes watching you from the shadows, it might be too late to run. Thanks for watching. That was 4 spooky campfire stories. Please subscribe and hit that like button. Until next time, stay spooky, my friends. The Kilted Squatch, signing off.